Hey, what's going on guys? Maldiva here, and today I'm going to be going over the new changes to Warlocks in 7.1.5. I do apologize for getting this video out so late. It's been really hectic, but I just want to get this out there and let everybody know what the changes are for some of the people, I guess, that haven't had a chance to read the patch notes or couldn't find them. But anyways, let's get right into it. For the first change, they increase the duration of Demonic Circle, so now it's placed down for 15 minutes instead of 6 minutes, so that really helps. The duration of games isn't too long that it would wear out in 6 minutes, but occasionally you'd have that really long match, so that's really nice change and definitely needed. Next up we have Imp, Succubus, Voidwalker, Fellhunter, and Felguard damage was increased by 20%. So it could be a nice little buff, maybe possibly to Demo. And also the Fellhunter, he does a decent amount of damage for Affliction. They increased the Mortal Coil healing to 20% instead of 11%, so it's pretty nice for a little maybe Battleground spec or 1v1 spec, get some extra healing in. And it also always heals you regardless of whether the target is affected by the horror or not. Soul Harvest base duration is now 15 seconds, and maximum duration is 35, instead of 10 for the base duration and 30 seconds for the maximum. This is a really nice change for RBGs for sure. Possibly, maybe even, might be a slight chance where you could use that in Arena, but I'm gonna say that's mostly gonna be for Battlegrounds and RBGs 100%. One of the very big changes, the major changes that happened to Warlock, was Drain Life being removed from the game, and now Warlocks have Drain Soul baseline because they took it out of the talent tree. So it does basically the same thing. I don't know if they changed the damage or the healing compared to Drain Life, but now we have Drain Soul and don't have to worry about Drain Life. So just kind of pruning a little bit more buttons. I don't really mind that too much. I think Drain Soul is a more satisfying animation compared to Drain Life anyway, as you can see. Really sick animation, so I'm happy about that. But in its place, the old Drain Soul right here, we have Malefic Grasp. So when channeling Drain Soul, your damage over time effects deal 80% increased damage to the target. So this turns into a lot of single target damage and pressure. I've heard this is just wrecking face for single target damage. Another change, we got Contagion buff to 18% increased damage to targets affected by your Unstable Affliction. This was up from 12%, so nice little buff. If you're playing Rotten Decay spec, I'd say, then pretty decent little buff there. I always sit Absolute Corruption though, that's my favorite, even to this day. They also changed this right here. Now we have an Empowered Life Tap. When you Life Tap, it increases your damage dealt by 10% for 20 seconds. Really nice change for that talent, because we used to have Mana Tap, and that was just annoying where you'd have to use it and it would take your mana and give you a damage increase. So a buff to that talent, I don't know if it's really worth taking though. I really just love Absolute Corruption. Having that big duration corruption that you don't have to worry about refreshing too much is just so good. They also reduced the damage on Sacrifice. So they reduced this by 25%. I don't think I really use Sacrifice too much as Affliction. Maybe in RBGs if my pet was dying, but I always sit Service for Arena for sure. I would never use Sacrifice in Arena, though. Change doesn't really affect me that much. They also changed up Haunt, so now Haunt has a 30-second cooldown, says around 440,000 damage. And the new change to it increases your shadow damage dealt to the target by 30% for 15 seconds. So I'm not a big fan of this talent. I think it'd be better if it was baseline, but 30-second cooldown over Wrath and Agony, I just can't see myself really using that too much. Focusing on more of a single target build, which I prefer to play Warlock because of the Rot playstyle. We have a Seed of Corruption damage buff. So now Seed of Corruption damage is now 215%, and it was 138%. And it also now costs 1 Soul Shard. It was 4.5% mana, so now it has a Soul Shard cost on it. And the trait, or the talent for Seed of Corruption, so the seeds adds 2 targets was for and no longer adds a soul shard cost. But honestly, I don't think I'd ever spec into that. It seems like more of a PvE talent for, I guess, AoEing and stuff. But that, I might have to test around with the Seed of Corruption buff. I'm not sure if it's really worth it. I really doubt it's worth using over Drain Soul, but could be pretty interesting in some situations. So now we got the class changes over and done with. The only thing new now is a couple PvP traits, or PvP talents, I'm sorry. So first up we have Soul Shatter. Consumes all of your damage over time effects on the 5 nearest enemies within 40 yards, dealing 10% of their total health and shadow damage. And also for each enemy hit by Soul Shatter, you gain 1 Soul Shard and 10% haste for 8 seconds. I messed around with this ability and I personally just did not like it. If it didn't remove dots, then I would think it'd be way better than it is, but yeah, just losing your dots and your agony stacks and all that just to gain haste and some shards, I don't really see it worth it. I mean, you could probably play around and dump all your UAs out, and then when your UA is about to fall, just have 1 dot on everything, use Soul Shatter, get your shards back, and then dump them again. But doing that in a 3v3 situation, it just doesn't seem right. And the other 2 traits, their talents are just a way better pick in my opinion. And we also have Death's Embrace is another new one. Corruption, Unstable Affliction, Agony deal an additional 100% damage on targets that are at or below 30% health. So this is the new Warlock Execute. I really love messing around with this. It's insane. And RBGs especially, because you don't really need Endless Affliction. You're not really casting UA too much in RPG, so this is a really nice buff for Affliction locks in RPGs, and it helps boost your killing blows a lot. So if you're doing battle, just even regular battlegrounds, and you care about killing blows, this talent is going to help you out big time. Now over to the last row, we only have 1 new change, or 1 new talent, which is Curse of Shadows. So this is a new curse. Magic damage over time effects will strike the target an additional time for 30% of their damage as shadow. Lasts 10 seconds with a 30-second cooldown. This is a really good curse. The only problem is I can't see picking it over Amplify. Like it's really cool. I've tested it a few times in 3s, but honestly, losing Amplify for that, I just don't see it worth it. If it was in another row, then possibly, but in this one, Amplify is just way too strong for Arena and RBGs and stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and comment down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you have any suggestions for Warlock content in this new patch, just let me know. I know I've gotten a lot of requests from macros, so I will most likely be having a macro video coming out soon. But if you have any suggestions at all, just let me know and I'll try my best to make a video on that. And I also have some big news, guys. I've been working on a very big project for a while now, and I'm super excited to release it with you guys. So I've started up my own official clothing line. I got a bunch of my Maldiva merch on there and also some cool new designs for the line. So I'll have a link to that in the bio below. Go check it out. Let me know what you guys think. We could use any feedback whatsoever, good or bad, and it'll help out a great amount. So thank you guys, I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.